Hello and welcome to Module 8. We're going to be talking about professionalism in the field of early childhood education during this module. So our objectives are to provide participants with an understanding of the NAEYC Code of Ethics, information on how to create a professional development plan and/or professional development goals, and knowledge on how to become an early childhood advocate or leader. So it's really important that when you're stepping into the field of early childhood education that you've given it a lot of great deal and thought, because this is a potential career path for you, and choosing your life's work is really a challenging responsibility, and it's a decision that is best made with a lot of thought and care. And one way that you can determine what your career should be is through self-assessment. So this is the process of examining your interests, abilities, values, and professional priorities, and making sure that they align with that of the chosen career path you are choosing to go down. So why is this important to analyze your abilities? Because abilities have a direct influence on your job performance. You are more likely to succeed in a job that you can do well, and having similar interests and abilities that match up the job is extremely helpful. So, what kind of abilities would be important for early childhood teachers to have? You should be able to have some ability around planning developmentally appropriate themes, lessons, activities, areas, schedules, and routines. So this means that you understand early childhood education and that you understand developmentally appropriate practice. You should also have some ability to lead group activities and assist young children. You should have the ability to match guidance and communication techniques to children's developmental ages, including the use of positive guidance. And you should have an ability to set and enforce limits for health and safety inside of classrooms. Additionally, we know that children develop within the context of relationships, so you should be able to provide comfort, nurturance, affection, and praise. I mean, this is highly important, and one of the biggest parts of your job is that you are creating safety and security. You should be able to offer constant supervision to all children throughout all daily activities, and you should be able to demonstrate appropriate care techniques to keep children safe and healthy, such as diapering, feeding, dressing, and toileting, and hand washing. So if you possess these abilities, then a career in early childhood education might be for you. Beyond abilities, you also should understand your values. So values are your beliefs, feelings, and ideas about what you believe is important, and ultimately your values are going to influence your decision and actions. Professional priorities are similar to values in their global aspects of work that is important to a person's satisfaction. So you need to decide upon your professional priorities, such as, do you care about providing a service? Is a sense of accomplishment important to you? Is a leadership role important to you? Is recognition important to you? Is having a high salary important to you? If it is, you might be in the wrong field. Is independence important to you? Is competition important to you? You need to really think about how your professional priorities and your values align with the field of early childhood education. So an example of this is if it's a professional priority to make a lot of money, do you really think that the field of early childhood education is for you? Or if you're interested in providing a service, is this a good field for you? So you have to answer these questions for yourself when you are determining a career pathway. When you examine your values and professional priorities, this will help you determine if working with young children will be a satisfying career choice for you. And if it is, if your abilities align, if your values align, if your professional priorities align, then you need to seek the necessary education, training, and experiences to qualify you to work in that field. So, we're saying that you have to have these values and these professional priorities and these abilities, but you also need to have some educational requirements and some training in the field. So I always want to talk about TEACH. So TEACH is a national scholarship that's in all the states in the United States of America. Really what it's used is to support teachers with post-secondary experiences so that you can get a degree in the field of early childhood education so that you can be more responsive to the educational and academic needs of young children. It also will help ECE professionals seek licensing requirements, so that's the 6 to 9 early childhood credits that you need to be early childhood teacher qualified, but it also supports with an associate's or a bachelor's degree. The nice thing about Teach is it's a scholarship program, and they will reimburse you for 90% of your tuition and fees, and they'll also provide a stipend for travel, textbook, internet, and bills. I'm going to provide a scholarship matrix and information about Teach inside of Canvas so that you can access that document. So, once you've chosen your career path and you're seeking out the necessary education, experience, and training to meet those qualifications for your career path, and you take a job at a center, it's really important that you understand the employee rights and responsibilities. So, as an employee, you have certain rights that are protected by law, and you also have other rights that are granted by your employer through personnel policies, but these rights always come with responsibility. So some child care teachers' responsibilities are defined by law, so an example of that would be mandated reporting. Others have been set by things like NAEYC, which are not necessarily laws, but they are things that you should take seriously as a right and responsibility of working in the field of early childhood education. Additionally, employers have an ethical responsibility to create a quality workplace. The employer handbook details the employee's rights and responsibilities. You should have received a handbook when you were hired, you should have read the handbook, and you probably signed something saying that you have read the handbook and you understand it. So employers, they have an ethical responsibility to provide that information with you, including a job orientation, and some of those legal rights apply to things like benefits, insurance, and to work in a discrimination-free environment. So those are your employer rights, and you do have employee responsibilities as well when you take a job. So when you accept an early childhood teaching position, you are essentially agreeing to comply with child care center policies, state child care licensing requirements, and the NAEYC Code of Ethical Conduct, which we are going to talk about next week. As an early childhood teacher, you are also accepting the responsibility of providing children with developmentally appropriate care that is responsive. Additionally, you are also accepting rights and responsibilities around attendance and punctuality. So your employer has a right to expect a full day's work for you in exchange for the pay you earn. We know that in this field, being late causes extra work and stress for your coworkers and director because adult-child ratios can be compromised, you can lose your job, and the center could lose its license if adult-child ratios are left unattended. This is a big one for me, but I really believe in professional appearance. So you have an ethical obligation to your employer to maintain a professional appearance. So this requires adequate grooming and neat, clean clothing, and it's really important that as somebody working in the field of early childhood education, that you wear comfortable, washable clothing that allows for easy movement. But in large parts, parents, children, visitors, and coworkers will base their initial impressions on you based on your appearance. And it highlights, the way that you dress highlights a message that you're conveying about professionalism, whether you realize it or not. So wearing pajamas, yoga pants, etc. does not convey a very professional demeanor. And one example of this is that you wouldn't necessarily see a public teacher wearing pajamas to work. So it's really important that you maintain a professional appearance by wearing clothes that you're okay if they get a little dirty, because we know that that's going to happen, and that are comfortable, but still convey that you are professional. This one is huge too. Much of your success as a child care professional is going to depend on your attitude, which is your outlook on life and how you treat others. People with positive attitudes are going to do well in any career, and employers, especially in early childhood, we need and want workers that have a positive attitude that can contribute to the culture of a center. Another right or responsibility that you have is maintaining confidentiality. So this means you're not sharing information with others beyond what is required by your work. You should use confidentiality to protect and show respect for children, families, and coworkers. There are some times when you do need to step out of the bounds of confidentiality, and that's when a child may have special needs, or you need to report child abuse and neglect, but you would only be sharing that information with the people who directly need to hear it. A part of professionalism is also understanding how to terminate employment. So this is not, I'm taking my lunch break and not coming back. This is not calling the night before and saying I'm not coming back to work. This is a professional way to terminate job employment. So there are many reasons why people leave their jobs. They're listed here on the slide, and you can take a look at them. But if you are choosing to terminate your employment and leave your job, there is a professional way to do that. It's best to leave under the best possible circumstances. You should put in a 2 weeks notice. You should tell your coworkers and your employer thank you and offer to train your replacement. You should give your notice to your employer in person, but you should also write a written letter of resignation. And then in those last 2 weeks, you should continue to do your job as you always were before. Just want to talk a little bit about self-care, working in the field of early childhood education, because we all have multiple roles when we come into this job, and this job is physically and emotionally demanding, but you should really understand when role strain is occurring, because this is a type of stress that many adults feel when they're unable to successfully balance multiple roles. And you need to learn how to support yourself. So learning time management is great, but you should also set your priorities, and you should also learn how to say no in a positive way so that you can better balance your roles. Some other things that you can do is have healthy eating habits, get adequate rest, nutrition, physical activity, take personal time to relax, think, and plan. Make sure that you have a support network around you so that you can talk and get some support that you need. The last thing that I want to talk about, and I actually think we're going to do our Zoom meeting on just talking about PDIS this week, is the Professional Development Information System. So this is a credentialing system where credentials are awarded from 1 to 6. It's for all early childhood professionals working in the field of early childhood education in the state of Colorado. It is essentially providing you with a personal profile that helps track your education experience and professional development. There's also free resources provided and free professional development within it. And this is important as we move towards trying to professionalize the field of early childhood education. We will find a need for a credentialing system in some way, shape, or form. So if you look at the way the public school system operates, teachers have to get a teaching license in order to teach. We don't have anything like that in the field of early childhood education. And unfortunately, we're at a place where states are all doing different things. But I know states are moving towards a way to track and credential early childhood professionals in a system that is statewide, which I do believe at some point will turn to nationwide. So this is really important that you get in there, get involved, and get yourself credentialed, and get yourself to the highest credential you possibly can. So yes, if you have questions, you will get them answered at our Zoom meeting this week. Otherwise, you have some homework due this week. You have your competency statement for Module 6, where we're talking about professionalism, your discussion question, Part 1, and then you need to fill out a resource collection item for early childhood education associations, and you can ignore the rest. All right, I hope everybody has a great week. Thanks.